In this video, I'm going to break down exactly how I went from being a videographer making $10K a month to a video business owner making over $40K a month, and go over the actionable steps that I took to go from 10 to 40K within a period of only 8 months. By the end of this video, hopefully my story will inspire you and also give you a blueprint that you can follow to go from being a videographer to a video business owner. All right, so back in January of 2023, I was a videographer bringing in around 10K every single month, and I had been doing this for about 10 years at the time. Since the pandemic of 2020, my business has kind of stagnated at around that 100K mark every single, and frankly, I was feeling frustrated and upset. I was scrolling through LinkedIn posts trying to see if I could just get a job as a content creator, as a videographer, as an editor, whatever it was. I was looking for some sense of security. Because as a freelancer, of course, you don't know where your next job is going to come from. And I had sort of a scarcity mindset around getting new work as opposed to an abundance mindset. And I was basically saying yes to whatever jobs came my way. And it was a pretty frustrating experience. I was doing all the shooting and editing and content delivery myself. And while I was happy working with clients who enjoyed my work, there was sort of this existential dread at the back of my mind. I knew I could be pushing myself to become a video business owner or simply just get more paying clients. I knew I was worth more. I've been doing this for over 10 years. And I knew that content creation is one of the most sought after things these days. And I saw peers of mine who were making way more than I was at the time, even though they weren't necessarily more talented than I was as a videographer. So again, back in 2023, this was my mindset. This was my state of mind, and it was a really dark place. But something shifted when I saw an ad online for a course for the Master Filmmaker group. Now, I know there are a lot of gurus and courses and content stuff out there of people saying they can help you grow your video business. So of course, I was very skeptical at the time, but I did a lot of digging and I checked out all the testimonials on their page. And I was just like, well, if all these people are saying that they have done it and they have grown their business, why can't I? So I went ahead and I took the leap and I invested a lot of money into this program. And that was the first step to me growing my business. By deciding to invest in myself, there was sort of a mindset shift that immediately happened. Of course, I learned a lot from that coaching program and from the courses, but just the act of deciding to invest in myself, I think shifted my mindset to begin with to say, oh, you are worth it. You got to bet on yourself. And because of the investment that I made, I felt that I could not give up. And when it didn't work at first and I had to keep pushing, there was this like financial string tying me back to my goal, saying, well, you better not waste all of the cash that you invested in this program, so you just got to do it. Now, of course, this was not an overnight success. The first couple of months involved me learning how to run Facebook ads, how to handle sales calls and objections, and how to productize my videos to solve clients' problems. Now, if you want to learn more about some of these things, you can go over them in my other videos on my channel. This is just a general outline to show all the steps from A to Z that I took, so you can see from a bird's eye view on what it takes to go from videographer to video business owner. So what I started doing was I defined my offer. I defined a very specific way that I could help businesses in a very specific niche overcome their problems. For me, I chose the health and wellness industry niche because it's something that I'm really passionate about. I've always been interested in alternative and holistic health and healing, and have even created videos on that content. So I knew that was a great place to start. If you've created content in a specific niche, you could start there, or you could pick a new niche. If you want to learn about picking a niche, of course, I have videos on that as well on my page. So now that I was armed with an offer to give to prospective clients, I had to start getting new clients through the door. And the process that I took to do that was actually calling up local businesses and offering free services to later then upsell them. I would also hit up past clients of mine and see if they were interested in the current offer that I had. And third, of course, was running paid ads. I did all three of these in tandem, and they all had varying effects, but ultimately paid ads was the thing that paid off the best for me. Because the thing is, right now, as a videographer, you're probably not getting a lot of new inbound leads every single day. And that's the beauty of Facebook and Instagram ads, is that once you turn this thing on, it's like a machine that starts giving you people to talk to you, that starts giving you people who are interested in your service. Now, of course, this process is not easy, and most people that you get on the phone with will not want to work with you, or their budgets that they have in mind are way too low to even make it worth your time. So about 3 months into this program, I had not made a single dime. It was pretty disheartening. I thought that it would happen for me quicker, but again, I had invested that initial money, and so I was determined not to give up. So I just kept pushing. At that point, I had everything set up. I had the website set up. I had been running Facebook ads. I had learned how to do the sales calls. I had even practiced a bunch of sales calls with my mentor to see what I would say when the objections eventually came up. I had my packages all laid out nicely as an offer, and I was basically taking anywhere between 3 to 5 sales calls every single day from the inbound leads that I was doing. My budget at the time for running paid ads was about $1,000 a month. And so in general, I was kind of struggling financially at the time. Basically, any money that I was making as a videographer was just being put right back into my business. By month 4, I knew that this was not going to be sustainable long term. So I basically upped the game. I started spending $1,500 a month on ads, and I started taking more sales calls. I was taking about 8 to 10 every single day, 3 or 4 days a week. And I would spend a lot of time on these calls. Some of these people were not qualified at all, but I just gave them all the energy and intention that I had to see what would happen. And here's what ended up happening. I got my first paid client about 5 months into this program, and they paid me a whopping $800 for the job. It doesn't seem like much, but it was crazy. It's like, wow, this system actually works. It got me a client. By putting money into Facebook ads, I got something out of it. Of course, I was way under at that point. I'd spent $3,000 on my Facebook ads, but wow, this is crazy. I can actually make money off running ads. At that point, my confidence levels went up, and I knew that if I just kept doing this and enough clients came and I booked enough sales calls, I could eventually scale my business. That's when I got my second client. This is about in July of 2023. And this client, are you ready for this? They paid me $1,500. Okay, not a crazy amount again. It was for a 1-day shoot, but again, this was like, wow, not only did this work once, it worked twice. And now I knew this thing could work, so my confidence went even higher. Again, I was taking on every single sales call that I could possibly get. And something happened in August that would change my career. And that was when I got a call from a prospect who didn't seem at all qualified. She made big promises to me. She said, oh, I'll put you in touch with all the best people. I know the best people. I'll definitely be speaking about you, and I'll put your name out there. And I ended up talking to her for like almost an hour on the phone, and I just kind of gave her advice on her business and her marketing ideas and her PR stuff that she was trying to pursue. And we just had a nice chat at the end of the call. It wasn't a sales call. It was literally just like calling a friend and being nice to them. And that was when I learned one of the most valuable aspects to sales, to growing your business, is to be genuine, to be sincere, to really show up for the people and show that you care about them. What happened then was that client I didn't hear from for weeks. I kept running my ads and I thought nothing of it. And then near the end of August, that person put me in touch with one of the people that they work with. That client got sent the ad that I was running, and she booked a call with me using my system, and we hopped in a call. This was around middle of August. And what happened after totally changed my career. That client got on a call with me and ended up booking a shoot with me for the next day in Los Angeles, shooting some content. And the main reason she told me she hired me was that she loved the ad that I had made. She loved the creative. She loved the way that I was doing the B-roll. She loved the ad that I created. She loved the system that I had set up, the fact that I was able to pull her attention and pull her PR ladies' attention and bring them into the system. And she was basically very complimentary of all the tools and systems that I had built to pull her in. And she's like, well, if you're able to pull me in, you can probably help me grow my business. So I ended up doing that first shoot with her for about $1,000. It was a pretty cut and dry shoot, and I delivered the footage and she was very happy. But here's the thing. Paid ads is like word of mouth on steroids. And that one client who was happy with me, she ended up hiring me consistently every single week for the next 6 months, and I still work with her today. The customer lifetime value of that one particular client is over $50,000. So while at the time I only made $1,000 off that first job, the lifetime value of that customer way exceeded the money that I'd spent in ads so far. It paid for the course I took. It paid for all the hours that I put in learning how to do this stuff. And of course, it paid for running my ads. Then the second biggest thing that happened was from that one client that I started doing work with, I got so many referrals. This client was really well connected. She knew a lot of different people in the industry, and they all wanted to work with me. And here was why. Because I picked a niche. I niched down. I became a health and wellness video content expert. And of course, everyone that she knew was also in the health and wellness industry because that was the industry that she was in. She's a very well-connected person, and she started referring me to other clients. And so fast forward to January of 2024, I had actually had to pause my ads because I was struggling with fulfillment. So I was kind of a bottleneck. I was not able to deliver constantly and shoot and edit everything myself. So I started hiring my friends as freelancers to help me without some of the work. So I started hiring my friends to help me out with some of the shooting and editing, and I could keep saying yes to projects as they came. Then about a month or so later, in February of 2024, I landed my first couple of retainer clients. So until that point, everything had been one-off, and so I had to hire freelancers to help me with the projects. And the rate that you get with a freelancer isn't fantastic. So Honestly, I was losing out on a lot of cash at the time, but I was building my business and I was building the amount of clients that I was working with. And of course, I was increasing my confidence. So once I landed my first retainer client who basically signed up for a 6-month minimum contract, of course, now a year later, we've been still working together because it's a podcast. They need consistent content. I was able to hire my first couple of full-time video editors, which removed me from a huge aspect of what I was doing before. I'd be spending probably 10 to 15 hours every single week just editing my videos. And now I had somebody who could edit it for me. And I was constantly making money off the edit because I was able to upsell the video editing services because I had someone full-time on staff and I was able to charge more than what I was paying them to do the editing. So a couple months later, I was getting more work, more business. I hired a couple more video editors. And here's the thing, I started drowning in work, and not in a good way. For sure, I had replaced myself when it came to editing, but I was still in the scarcity mindset because I had spent 10 years in the scarcity mindset. And so I was still taking on and saying yes to every single job that came my way. I was getting burnt out. And it was not sustainable. That's when I became a lot more selective on the kinds of work that I took on and started hiring producers to help me with every aspect of production, and started also hiring more freelance videographers to help me on shoots. So I was not going out and shooting and being on set every single day. So I was less reliant on trading my time for money, and I had built out systems and processes that would help me constantly bring in cash every single month. And fast forward a couple months later back to September of 2024, and everything had kind of stabilized and equalized, and I felt relaxed with my job, and I finally felt relaxed in my business. I was spending a lot of time working on my business and not in my business. And if you want to learn more about things like that, check out the other videos on my page. And basically everything has been pretty smooth since then. And so now I'm focusing on content creation and telling other people about my story, because I remember at the time being stuck, uninspired, and confused. And if I saw a video like this one, it might have inspired me to take that leap and try and change myself from a videographer to a video business owner. So again, if you want to watch other videos like this and learn more about my process and my journey and see if you can apply it to yourself, check out the other videos on my page.